Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome back to Final Trade. Where does a card's value come from? I've thought about this a lot in the last few months. I had some great discussions with people commenting on some of my earlier videos. And I think I've kind of arrived at a theory of this that is very satisfying to me. I think a card derives its value from four different places. The first, obviously, being scarcity. If there's fewer copies of a card in existence, it's going to be worth more because you have some number of people all chasing fewer copies of a card. And that kind of also applies to when you have not just a card, but different artworks of the card. So, a good example of this is the Mystical Archives from Strixhaven. I think those will never be reprinted, and I think the popular cards among them, things like Counterspell, Lightning Bolt, Dark Ritual, Demonic Tutor, stuff like that, I think those will become more valuable in the future because it is the only printing with that artwork. Even though things like Counterspell, I mean, that gets reprinted all the time. The second factor for determining the legality of the the value of a card is its tournament format legality. And obviously, when something is legal in standard, it may be worth more, and when it rotates out of standard, it sees a big drop in value immediately. And so, similarly, when things are, say, banned from certain formats, they lose some value, like being banned from Commander or any of the other formats. And so I think that has an effect on the value of a card because obviously, if you can't use it in a tournament setting, there will be fewer people chasing that card. The third factor is utility, just how good is the card when it's played. Obviously, better cards are consumed more copies of them get locked away in people's decks, get locked away in collections to potentially be used to build decks in the future, and they get worn and torn, they get lost and stolen. And so more copies of those disappear from the market one way or another, and it causes the value of that card to go up. And the fourth factor I would call sentimental value. Sometimes people just like the card. It may not be good, it may not be popular, it may not be legal in a lot of formats or any formats, it may be banned, but people may just like the card. And so, I have cards like this that I buy near mint copies of that I want to one day get slabbed and graded, not because they'll be valuable or a good investment or anything like that, but because I just love the card. It has sentimental value to me. And so I'm willing to pay money for those and take copies of them out of circulation in order to do that. And so those are the four things. And each of these factors adds weight. And each of these factors causes the price to change and has an impact on the price. Now, the weight of each of those factors is determined independently by each buyer. And you can imagine someone going to TCG Player and deciding if they're going to buy an Ice Age Dark Ritual, and they'll look at the price and it's 50 cents or something, and they'll decide if that's valuable enough to them. Do they want that specific artwork bad enough, or will they choose an artwork that's cheaper? Maybe they have a sentimental connection to Ice Age and that era, maybe to that artwork, something like that. But each person makes that determination on their own. But all of those choices and all of those opinions coming together determine the last price that one of those cards was sold at. And that's the one piece of information that we get out of the market is what was the last transaction price for a specific card. We have all these inputs. We can't know the exact dynamics because there's too many inputs, but there's only one output, which is that price. We know why this works, but not the specific how. And so, that's kind of the nutshell of my theory of where a card's value comes from. Leave some comments for me if you agree, disagree. Let me know what you think, because a lot of this has kind of evolved over time from discussion with people in the comments on some of these other videos. So let me know what you think. I'd really appreciate it. If you like this kind of thing, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Join me on Final Trade. I'd love to have you. Thanks.